What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quickie. Hey guys, what is up? Trade deadline is finally over, done, in the past, but lots of stuff to talk about today. And I'm pretty sure you've heard some of these stuff, who are the players to pick. So today we'll just casually talk about some of our thoughts. My name is JJT with Komish Eric. Lots of trades.
Lots of
Exciting.
trades and lack of sleep. No,
Lack of sleep. It was, in
Lack
case
of
you don't know,
sleep.
in case you're listening, it was the deadline is 4 a.m. here, Manila time. So I got up by 2 a.m. and just wasn't able to sleep. Just because around 2:33 there were some trades already that was pushing to.
Similar. Yeah, that is what I fell asleep, woke up 1:30 or so, and then there were some trades already, and then so we just continued it until the end of the deadline, which was around 4.
So let's talk about winners and losers. Maybe the losers first, right? Let's talk about some of the losers. Who do you have as the biggest loser? I have Mason Plumlee as the biggest loser here.
Yeah.
Just because he's top 70, top 60?
Yeah, same. I put him number 1 there. As you said, you mentioned it. The value of Plumlee was top 70.
Yeah.
So, and the fall might be lower than 70. Lower than 100.
Might be outside 120.
Might be outside 150. I don't know. Depends on
Yeah.
how. I know the Clippers got him, but the Clippers got him for cheap. I think just 1 second round pick, and which was what I mentioned to you before. I said 100% this guy will get traded because his value is very, very cheap. Because the Hornets do not have any leverage with him because he's a impending free agent. So it's a rental. In other words, a rental, and the Hornets does not need to rent him or play him because they're tanking. So it was so obvious that he was gonna get traded. But we were hoping that he goes to a team that is not as deep as the Clippers. So it didn't happen that
or
way.
at least have a chance to start or get maybe 28, 27 minutes, right?
Actually,
Now
the question to you: do you think that Zubac is automatic starter over Plumlee, or maybe Plumlee starts over Zubac? Right?
Yeah, maybe, but it's a timeshare, and just I think it's going to be worse, I guess, now, because what was the Clippers pre Mason Plumlee? I know that's funny that we're talking about pre Mason Plumlee, thinking that he's a big piece here, but pre Mason Plumlee, what was Zubac like? He wasn't consistent at all. He had some great games. He'll have some bad games. Sometimes they'll throw him there for 30 plus minutes. Sometimes he'll throw him in there for 20 plus. This is the Clippers. The Clippers are one of the teams that adapt very well to competition. And if they want to go small, they'll go small. So I don't think I think it really got worse for both these players.
Yeah, but in fairness to Zubac, last year, if you remember, he was dropped at one point of the season. Last season. But this season, he started very strong. Doubles and everything. Of course, he faded eventually, but still more consistent than usual than what he usually gives because he doesn't have a backup.
Yeah,
that's something. That's something. If they want to play small, they'll play small. But the times that they play big, it's automatic. It has to be him.
Yeah.
Last season, it was Isaiah Hartenstein sharing with him. And to be honest, if you squint a little, you can see that Hartenstein and Plumlee plays the same. They can. The way Plumlee played in Charlotte is basically what Hartenstein did with the Clippers. Elbow area, passes. That's where he facilitated. He's a good rebounder, very limited scorer. Also, the assist of Hartenstein last year was so high, and that's the reason why we picked him high this season. We thought New York was gonna use him that way, but New York did not use him that way. New York used him as a pick and roll guy, which is not really what he's good at. So I think you might see Zubac become like what Zubac was last season. Eventually there will be a stretch of bad games. When Plumlee plays better, and similar to Plumlee, when Zubac plays better, he'll get less minutes. So this is not a good situation for them, of course.
Yeah. Is probably a drop at this point.
No, you don't drop a top 70 guy without seeing him at least play in his new.
Actually, a bunch of these guys, a bunch of these losers, I'm holding on until I see what happens. Except for maybe Eric Gordon. He has been a streamer anyway for many leagues.
That's true. So but I did drop Eric Gordon also.
Yeah, so those two losers, just hold on, Zubac and Plumlee. I think for me, I know you listed Doug Gordon as the loser. I think Saddiq Bey also is a big loser here.
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing better the past few weeks.
Yes.
I think the last I checked, he was already within the top 100, at least in the 90s, in ranks. But yeah, this is a big blow going to Atlanta.
This one I did not foresee or did not hear any rumors about, because I don't see why the Hawks would need Saddiq. They have the Andre Hunter, they have Bogdan, they have
AJ Griffin.
Yeah, the rookie's been playing well. So I was shocked that they got Saddiq Bey, but maybe they envision him as a small ball power forward, which he was with Detroit. But in that case, no, they have John Collins. In Detroit, he was.
They still have John Collins.
They still have John Collins. After all the
for 3 years, he's been in the rumor mill for what, 3-4 years?
Yes, but he's still in Atlanta.
He's still there.
He's still alive. He's like a cockroach.
I don't even know if he's a big loser here or a winner, but he's still there.
I think it's a winner in the sense that at least he now doesn't have to think about that anymore. The trade rumors
until next year.
So I think that's a win. And today he did show that he played well today. And again, Bey was fighting with Isaiah Stewart in Detroit for the power forward minutes. Here, he was against Stewart, against Diallo, Isaiah Livers, those kinds of guys. Here is against John Collins, Bogdan, the Andre Hunter. These guys are better players, and he's in a contending team. So when Saddiq Bey, sometimes his shot is way off. Like he shoots like 3 out of 15 there. So he's not gonna be able to bounce back from that in Atlanta. If he struggles early on, he might not see a lot of minutes in the second half. So I did say that I can see him being dropped in some leagues.
Yeah. And even if you don't wait for it, I can see him, I don't think he's going to have great value. It's annoying because I have him in a couple of leagues, and one is a 16-team deep league. So
that's tough.
It's hard to throw away a player like that who's been contributing, and then it's a very deep league. You probably won't get. In fairness, there are still options there, and we'll talk about them later. In a bit, there are still options there that I can go to, but we'll see what happens. But most likely Saddiq Bey loses some major value here. Eric Gordon, we mentioned already, moving on to the Clippers. Anyone moving on to the Clippers loses a lot of value at this point.
That's true.
I don't know who's gonna. They're deep though. They're deep. This Clippers teams, has upgraded a lot of.
Basically, they replaced Reggie Jackson and John Wall with Bones Hyland and Eric Gordon. That's an upgrade.
Yeah.
And if they get Russell Westbrook, which is a big possibility, then that makes it even better, or I guess worse for Eric Gordon, the other fringe fantasy players there in LA Clippers.
Yeah. Many will be asking about Bones Hyland though. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not that high. I did not pick him up in any league that he was available in. He might start, but I see that he's more of a bench player really. I don't see the Clippers starting him as the point guard. I see that it's still Terrence Mann. If it's true that the Clippers did not want to trade Terrence Mann, that's why they did get Fred VanVleet. then you should know you should already know by that how much they value Terrence Mann. So I think Mann at point guard might stick starting point guard, and Highland would probably be the backup. They got Highland for cheap also. I think.
Yeah, because I think Highland is
Around,
was having some problems already at Denver,
yes.
and
Yeah.
it looks inevitable that he was going to be traded
Yeah.
by the trade deadline just because of the things that's happening there in Denver. He wasn't even playing
Yeah.
already
ENPs.
in Denver. So yeah. Someone asked me about that. I told him I don't think the value is going to be as good. At best, I think his
Similar.
value would be similar to Terrence
Yeah.
Mann, to those guys who are pretty much streamers for the most
Or
part.
his value might be the same as when he was in Denver, when he was still playing. There were games in Denver that he played well, which is a player like Bones Highland is prone to those kinds of games, like 30-point games, 20 plus point, because they're explosive scorers. But on average, I don't think it moves the needle for him.
He'll get some value when Kawhi sits, Paul George sits, but other than that, when they're fully healthy, I don't think he gets anything. He might get a DNP. There. Other losers, well, Bobby Portis was mentioned by Commission as a loser just because of Jay Crowder's arrival to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Josh Richardson. Anyway, you won't drop Bobby Portis. He's injured anyway, so you just put him in your IL. Josh Richardson will move. Where did New Orleans?
New Orleans, yes. I think obviously it's a drop. I mean, New Orleans has Trey Murphy and all those players.
This is an easy drop. Let's find someone. Quentin Grimes, okay.
Quentin Grimes might not be as easy a drop, but he's a drop. As long as Josh Hart is healthy. Grimes has not been playing well in 35, 36 minutes or doing, very good per minute anyways. And now if he goes to 24, 25, that's going to even be worse. So I think he's a drop there in New York.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I think the rest of the losers aren't really rosterable and probably will not be rosterable anyway. I think Russell Westbrook's the only guy who is currently rostered and the future is still hanging.
But he's also a big loser because if you had him at the very least, he was very serviceable. He in certain builds he was able to help you, but the Lakers were very desperate. That's why they were allowing him to still get that much usage. But whatever team he signs with will not be that desperate anymore. So he's probably gonna have a limited role for whatever team he signs.
Yeah. Plus, he is similar to the Mason Plumlee situation where he's rosterable at some point, not as high as how Plumlee has been used, but he was good for quite some time, right? But he is in that category wherein, it's so hard to drop these players if they're contributing and that they can contribute, especially the counting stats for Westbrook. But just the uncertainty and the reputation, unfortunately the reputation as well of Westbrook has really gone down the drain.
Yeah, he's a vampire, right? He's a vampire that
it's just a pity because I don't think they should be throwing out, those types of in locker room stuff that should have been, discussed, kept in the locker room. So that's unfortunate.
But for the losers, we mentioned Plumlee and Westbrook. I think Jalen Duren also deserves a mention. I know that James Wiseman, people might not believe him yet. I'm not a fan, that ever since. I don't feel that he's a very good player. But he's a number 2 pick. So he has some skill level. He can shoot, he can score.
Are you sure about that? Here's my point. I tweeted this a while ago. For a number 2 pick in the draft, what did the Golden State Warriors got for him?
5 second-round picks. That's the new in thing right now in trades. 5 second round.
And Gary Payton?
No.
Yeah,
Gary
that was the
Payton came.
flip, right? That was the flip from it was
Yeah,
Wiseman
eventually.
for Saddiq Bey
Yeah,
plus some second round
eventually,
picks, right?
eventually. But I think Gary Payton came from a different deal. Gary Payton came from a different deal. It was really just 5 second round picks. Wiseman for 5 second round picks. That was basically what they got. That was the Saddiq Bey, Wiseman, and Atlanta trade. The three team trade. Uh, Detroit got uh, Detroit got Wiseman, Atlanta got Bay, and the 5 second round picks of Atlanta went to Golden State. So the
Ah,
Gary Payton trade was from another deal. So that was different deal. So they just got 5 second round picks. But Wiseman in minutes has shown some flashes, some flashes. And hear me out. I think Detroit wants to know what they have with Wiseman. They know what they have with Duren. Both these guys cannot play together. I don't believe
yeah.
that. So and Mark Stein, or whatever how you pronounce his name, he's a very reputable reporter. Reported that they're gonna start Weissman, which was a surprise to me. But thinking about it, might not be as big a surprise because maybe, as I said, it's like Marvin Bagley last year, right?
Yeah.
They got Bagley, they started him. They wanted to see what Bagley can do before they sign him to a contract. So I think the same thing with Weissman. Maybe they want to see because they're tanking, they're losing. They don't need the better player to play. So Duran for me is also a big loser here in the trade deadline.
But you don't drop Duren, right?
No, you don't drop
Right.
Duran. It could be a timeshare, still enough for him to have a value in standard leagues, but it's still big loss because we were expecting Duran to be better as the rest of the season goes along,
Yeah.
and this suddenly came James Wiseman.
I think another loser here is OG. I know
Yeah,
he's
OG.
injured, but he was not traded. He was the more popular Raptor that was in the rumor mill. He was not traded, and now he comes back to Toronto. He will come back to Toronto with a very stacked lineup because they just added Jakob Pertl. So how does that look? Someone
and
will come off the bench.
and OG wanted to be traded. He said he wanted a bigger role, so there is a little bit of I guess a little bit of discontentment there. Um, but the problem is he's not playing that well anymore. If this was the OG early in the season, I would not be as worried. But since OG kind of lost momentum already to Scotty Barnes and to Gary Trent, to Fred
Yeah,
VanVleet,
but
it's tough to get that back.
yeah, I
I
know,
just
but he is probably OG owners are probably gonna be frustrated that he wasn't traded because he wasn't already good. Probably because he was not happy as well with how Toronto has been using him, and now he's gonna stay there. And now he's injured, so we don't know what's gonna happen there. How they're gonna put him back in the rotation. If he's gonna play, is he gonna be motivated still to play, or maybe just sit out? I think sitting out the whole season is,
no.
or he's not gonna play as much.
No, I don't. I think Masai did say that they want to contend. They want to try to make the play in or something. They're not gonna sit OG out or whatever. There's the bad blood or whatever is not that deep. I think OG just really wants to have a bigger role. I think that's it. That's it. He likes the franchise and everything. It's not Kyrie or Ben Simmons kind or whatever. So he's gonna play. It's just a little hit in the sense that, as you said, the total entry. You know, that's something. That's a big wild card because before, at least the five of them for sure gets 35 minutes. No, whether they play
Yeah.
well, bad, or whatever, they get the chance to produce. Now they might lose 3 to 4 minutes. Might not be a lot when you think about
So
it,
who
but
starts for them? Van Fleet, Siakam, Trent, Barnes,
Scott
and
would
Potel.
start. The question right now is whether Potal or OG starts. Potal, OG, or Gary Trent. No, but I think starting OG at shooting guard might not be.
Yeah.
Well, they tried it. They tried putting Gary Trent off the bench. So they did try that before. They played very big. It didn't work. So I don't know if they're gonna do it again. it's between OG and Jakob, in my opinion. I think Jakob might come off the bench. I just feel like it's Jakob that will come off the bench. But it's a good player that's coming off the bench. So
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. I just feel like he's another loser. And just quickly, the Lakers also got Mo Bamba. I don't. That puts a little bit of a dent, maybe, to Jared
yeah,
Vanderbilt's
that's true.
value.
When Thomas Bryant was traded away, I said, okay, Vanderbilt at least now can be the main
Yeah.
backup of Anthony Davis. Then Bamba comes in. Bamba is better than Thomas Bryant. He can defend better than Thomas Bryant. So, and now it might even be a bigger hit to Vanderbilt. I've seen some Vanderbilt drop after the Bamba trade. Some people did drop Vanderbilt already.
And if he,
So,
for me, if he was dropped at this point, right? He hasn't played yet for the
yeah,
Lakers. If you have some last end of roster player who is really just a streamer, maybe take a chance. We don't know yet. To be honest, we don't know what's gonna happen there with the Lakers, how the rotation would look like. Maybe Vanderbilt gets a little better value than he was when he was in Utah. So we'll see. At this point, you can try to pick him up, but don't throw in just about anyone. Throw your, streamer or something.
like some I just mentioned this Torrey Craig. I streamed him, although he didn't play well today. I thought that maybe he'll be the fifth starter, so maybe he'll have value. Some similar to that. If it's between Craig and
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, I probably take my chance on Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
He has a better fantasy stat set.
Yeah.
That kind of move, we can agree on.
Yeah.
We can, yes.
All right. Any other losers I missed out? No. Let's move on to the winners.
There are lots of losers here, but we'll not finish it in one episode. I think there's some low-key losers, some whatever, but that will come.
I did go through some of the, Commish had the list in our Facebook page. I did go through some of the players who are not even rosterable anymore. Because it really doesn't make sense. Let's move on to the winners. I know everyone's excited for Mark Williams. I don't want to be very excited because, I have to see it before. I have a few. I think I have two Mark Williams. And I also added Nick Richards in some leagues. In 16-team leagues, I added him. In some 14-team, I also added him because I missed out on Mark Williams. What do you see? How do you see this rotation working?
This season is the very rare season that when we talked about something, when something happens, we already talked about it before. We were able to really foresee it. So I'm happy about that. We talked about this already. I said, if you're late with Mark Williams, pick up Nick Richards. He will have, I think this week. We mentioned that this week.
Yeah, when we talked about the trade stash.
Yeah, I think Mark Williams should start. It's Steve Clifford. I'm not 100% sure, but 75%. 75% is Mark Williams. But regardless,
no, come on. At this point, it's 50-50.
Well,
it's 50-50. Now, here's the thing.
I would still put it 75. I would still put it at 75. Thing.
It's 50-50, but since the upside of Mark Williams is way higher, the chances of him sticking to that starting lineup is better than Nick Richards, for sure. Right? But for me, I just feel like this is Steve Clifford. We know that this is Charlotte. I just feel like they'll play around with that. They'll start Nick Richards from time to time. They'll start Mark Williams from time to time.
That's what I was gonna say. I even if it's like they announce Nick Richards, is it tomorrow or maybe the next day as their starter? I don't think they say, oh no, they're not. They're gonna start Nick Richards. They're not gonna play Mark Williams. I think, as Jeremy said, it could be like, okay, for 3 games it's Nick. For 2 games it's Mark Williams. Overall, I think it's 25, 23, 24, 24, something like that. Both of them gets minutes in the 20s. And for Mark Williams, that's enough. For Nick Richards, not as good, but rebounds, maybe can get double rebounds, low end.
Yeah, he's a good per minute rebounder.
Yeah, he's a good rebounder.
So he won't hurt you anywhere else. He won't give you much in the other categories, but at least the field goal will be good. If he scores 10 points and maybe 5 out of 5, then you'll take that. So that's one winner. James Wiseman, we talked about him. He's probably gonna start. You can pick him up. Where personally, I'm not as high on him just because of that. We've seen already what Duran can do. We haven't seen much of Wiseman really. So yeah, still, if you missed out on some of the guys, you can try out James Wiseman. Zach Collins, we've already talked about Zach Collins when Pirtle was traded. Yeah, one of the top ads. He was dropped in a few leagues just before trade deadline, which is weird. I've seen him. He's in the waiver. Obviously, if you're not 1, 2, or 3 in the waiver, you probably won't be able to get him. He's one of the top ads in the past couple of days. So Zach Collins, a winner. Who else are the winners here?
I think we said Total. Total is a winner. Not in the sense not in the per game kind of thing, but in the overall situation.
Yeah,
he's a winner there. And then I talked about Colin Sexton. I think he talked about Zach Collins. For me, the ads here, the top ads are Mark Williams, Zach Collins, Colin Sexton. I think those three, if you're able to add those three, those are the three biggest winners of the trade deadline. So Colin Sexton as a starting point guard. But of course, he was owned in 60+% of leagues. So he wasn't that available. But still, he is a big winner. Before, he was 16 points, no assists. 14 points, 2 assists. I think now he can go to at least 20 and then get 5 assists, 4 to 5
like
assists,
he did,
sometimes 6
like he did
assists.
today.
Yeah, so I think Colin Sexton is a big winner there.
All right. Now let's talk about some of the guys here. KJ Martin, Tari Eason, Houston Boys. Tari Eason is one of our trade deadline stash. How are you feeling about it right now with Eric Gordon out? I watched the trade deadline show by Josh Lloyd, and he wasn't really high on Tari Eason, unlike the other analysts. What's your take?
It's I'm high on him. That's my take. But the what happened, Gordon moving out, that's good. But I think I wanted KJ Martin to move out also for him to really have, for sure, 100% sure he's gonna explode this year. But right now there is still a part of me that thinks that it could be a Sengun situation. KJ is there, Jabari is there, Sengun is there. As long as those three are healthy, his minutes will be at a 20 at most, 20, 21. Even if Eric Gordon is out, he will be limited to those minutes. And if that is the case, I don't think he's going to maximize his value this season.
KJ Martin is a winner.
KJ is a big winner.
Yeah. He has been starting. He's not there in your waiver wire in case you're going to try to find him. He's probably not there. He's been playing well already. He's been starting. Now he gets more minutes because, he could get more minutes because Eric Gordon is not there anymore. So plus KPJ is still out, and plus it's Houston.
The last thing, or one more thing we can talk about is the thybulle situation.
Yeah, that's the next thing I want to talk about. Thybulle versus Cam Reddish
versus Shadon Sharp versus Nasir Little. I guess I'll leave this to you. What you think will happen, because I know you're thybulle whatever.
No, I'm not really a thybulle fan now as I was before.
Did you pick him up?
No. But I was really contemplating because I was late in some of the pickups, in some of our leagues, because in some of our leagues, they are very competitive. Those players like Collins, Branham, they've been picked up already even before the trade deadline. Anyway, Thybulle was one of those moving up the ads list, right? Yeah. And also Cam Reddish, 2 players. But I just couldn't figure out who between those two should play or will play. I've added Cam Reddish in a 16-team league just because, even though Thybulle was there as well, just because I feel like, Cam would have some scoring, some offensive skills, better offensive skills. I just feel Thybulle is a specialist, right? He is a specialist.
Yeah.
And game, I think, fits more in fantasy playoffs.
Okay, yeah, because
You'll
when you
value
fantasy
him more there in fantasy playoffs.
playoffs, you just need 5 categories, so you don't really need to go 8-1 or 7-2. You just need the 5 score, maybe something like that. But I did add a lot of typos. I have to admit, but I did not add it right after the trade was announced. I didn't
He's
add it
available even now. I think there are some.
Yes, yes.
But also I think the schedule. I think they don't have a really good schedule, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's still available until now.
He's still available. The thing is, I feel like they lost Josh Hart, and if you see what Josh Hart does in that starting 5, I think Thybulle is a player that probably fits better, and Cam Reddish should probably be better off the bench as a scorer. No, he can score. So that's just what I think. And in my opinion, whether it's Cam or Thybulle, it really depends on what you need. Like I pick him up in one league where I'm punting points. No, so I think like steals and blocks. Tybulle's perfect in punting points. I just hope he gets 20 to 25 minutes, maybe 23 minutes, something like that. I think that would be enough for him in a punting point situation. But if you need threes, you need points, it's tough to hold on to Thybulle because he's not going to give you anything. Even if he gets 30 minutes, he's not going to do. He's not going to do those.
No, another intriguing thing for me is I know he hasn't. He came from an injury, but Nasser Little once was a good fantasy player. Last year before he got injured. Do they put him there in the starting lineup over these guys?
Tomorrow he might start because tomorrow I don't think Thybulle and Reddish will be ready. So tomorrow I might be putting him in the waiver performers, no Nasser Little. But so far when he's gotten minutes, he's not done the steals, the blocks are gone. He's basically a 3-point shooter now. I don't know it's because of the injury or
the
what
system or
the system, but when you see him stats, he sometimes gets 14 points, like 4 3-pointers, and then no rebounds, no steals, no anything. So I don't know if that is what he is right now, but I'm not that confident anymore in Nasser Little value for
Sharp.
Sharp is intriguing. Sharp is intriguing.
That's why this Portland situation is a little more intriguing.
Sharp is too young.
It's hard to add the player.
Yeah. Sharp, if Portland wants to contend, Sharp is not the guy. Sharp is not the guy they're gonna play. Now, if they're moving on, like, okay, we're not gonna win this season, let's just develop our players, then they're gonna play Sharp. But I think they still want to win, so I think they're still gonna play Thybulle more than Sharp. It's just my opinion. I think they're still deluding themselves that they have a good team, that they can still contend. So I think they're still gonna play Thybulle. Maybe down the road it becomes Sharp and Reddish. Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what happens there in Portland. Let's see what happens. Which player stands out. It's so hard. Hopefully, I'll try to add at least 1 or 2 Thybulles if he's still available there, so that at least if he does perform, I can say I have 1 or 2 of them. So at least I have a variety of players. So that's the advantage of having lots of leagues. You can have a variety of. You can add all of these players to your rosters. All right, that's it for today's quickie, guys. We just wanted to talk a little bit. I'm sure, for the hardcore fantasy managers, fantasy players, I'm sure you already know all these things. Who to add, who to drop. There might be some players that like the Thybulle, Cam Reddish situation. That's going to be a little bit more challenging to decide on. But yeah, over the past few hours, there have been lots of analysts already talking about it. So anyway, that's it. It's the weekend, guys. Hope you have a good weekend. We'll see you guys again tomorrow for another Daily Fantasy Quickie. Please subscribe, follow us on our socials. Good luck and have a good weekend. Bye.